Preface to Poems of Progress and New Thought Pastels. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by phone. Poems of Progress and New Thought Pastels by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Preface. Love's Language. When silence flees before the voice of love, of what expression does that God approve? Is dulcet song or flowing verse his choice, or stately prose made regal by his voice? Speaks love in couplets or in epics grand, and is love humble, or does he command? There is no language that love does not speak, today commanding and tomorrow meek, 1 hour laconic and the next verbose, with hope triumphant and with doubt morose. His varying moods all forms of speech employ, to give expression to his painful joy, to voice the phases of his joyful pain, he rings the changes on the poet's strain. Yet not in epic, epigram, or verse can love the passion of his heart rehearse. All speech, all language is inadequate. There are no words with love commensurate. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. The Land Between by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org by phone. Between the little here and larger yonder, there is a realm, or so one day I read, where faithful spirits love enchained may wander, till some remembering soul from earth has fled. Then, reunited, they go forth afar, from sphere to sphere, where wondrous angels are. Not many spirits in that realm are waiting, not many pause upon its shores to rest, for only love, intense and unabating, can hold them from the longer, higher quest. And after grief has wept itself to sleep, few hearts on earth their vital memories keep. Should I pass on, across the mystic border, let thy love link me to that pallid land. I would not seek the heavens of finer order, until thy bark had left this coarser strand. How desolate such journeyings would be, though straight to him were they not shared by thee. Wert thou first called, dear God, how could I bear it? I should enchain thee with my love, I know. Not great enough am I to free thy spirit from all these tender ties and bid thee go. Nor would a soul, unselfish as thine own, forget so soon and speed to heaven alone. On earth we find no joy in ways diverging. How could we find it in the worlds unseen? I know old memories from my bosom surging would keep thee waiting in that land between, until together, side by side, we trod a path of stars. Love's Mirage by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org by phone. Midway upon the route, he paused athirst, and suddenly across the wastes of heat, he saw cool waters gleaming, and a sweet green oasis upon his vision burst. A tender dream, long in his bosom nursed, spread love's elusive verdure for his feet. The barren sands changed into golden wheat. The way grew glad that late had seemed accursed. She shone the woman wonder on his soul, the garden spot for which men toil and wait, the house of rest that is each heart's demand. But when at last he reached the gleaming goal, he found, oh cruel irony of fate, The Need of the World by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org by phone. I know the need of the world, though it would not have me know. It would hide its sorrow deep, where only God may go. Yet its secret it cannot keep. It tells it awake or asleep. It tells it to all who will heed, and he who runs may read. The need of the world I know. I know the need of the world, when it boasts of its wealth the loudest, when it flaunts it in all men's eyes, when its mien is the gayest and proudest. Oh, ever it lies, for the sound of its laughter dies in a sob, in a smothered moan, and it weeps when it sits alone. The need of the world I know. I know the need of the world, when the earth shakes under the tread of men who march to the fight, when rivers with blood are red, and there is no law but might, and the wrong way seems the right, when he who slaughters the most is all men's pride and boast. The need of the world I know. I know the need of the world. When it babbles of gold and fame, it is only to lead us astray from the thing that it dare not name, for this is the sad world's way. Oh, poor blind world, grown grey, with the need of a thing so near, with the want of a thing so dear. The need of the world I know. The need of the world is love. Deep under the pride of power, down under its lust of greed, for the joys that last but an hour, there lies forever its need. For love is the law and the creed, and love is the unnamed goal of life, from man to the mole. The Gulf Stream by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org by phone. Skilled mariner, and counted sane and wise, that was a curious thing which chanced to me, so good a sailor on so fair a sea. With favouring winds and blue unshadowed skies, led by the fateful beacon of love's eyes, past reef and shoal, my lifeboat bounded free and fearless of all changes that might be, under calm waves, where many a sunk rock lies. A golden dawn, yet suddenly my bark strained at the sails, as in a cyclone's blast, and battled with an unseen current's force, for we had entered, when the night was dark, that old tempestuous Gulf Stream of the past. But for love's Remembered by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org by phone. His art was loving. Erie set his sign upon that youthful forehead, and he drew the hearts of women as the sun draws dew. Love feeds love's thirst as wine feeds love of wine. Nor is there any potion from the vine which makes men drunken, like the subtle brew of kisses crushed by kisses, and he grew inebriated with that draught divine. Yet in his sober moments, when the sun of radiant summer paled to lonely fall, and passion's sea had grown an ebbing tide, from out the many, memory singled one full cup that seemed the sweetest of them all, the warm red mouth. Helen of Troy by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org by phone. On the Isle of Cranae. The world an abject vessel to her charms, and kings competing for a single smile. Yet love she knew not, till upon this isle she gave surrender to abducting arms. Not Theseus, who plucked her lips' first kiss, not Menelaus, lawful mate and spouse, such answering passion in her heart could rouse, or wake such tumult in her soul as this. Let come what will, let Greece and Asia meet, let heroes die and kingdoms run with gore, let devastation spread from shore to shore, resplendent Helen finds her bondage sweet. The whole world fights her battles, while she lies sunned in the fervour of young Paris' eyes. On the Isle of Rhodes. The battles ended, ardent Paris dead, of faithful Menelaus long bereft. Time is the only suitor who is left. Helen survives, with youth and beauty fled. By hate remembered, but by love forgot, dethroned and driven from her high estate, unhappy Helen feels the lash of fate, and knows at last an unloved woman's lot. The Grecian marvel and the Trojan joy, the world's fair wonder, from her palace flies, the Furies follow, and great Helen dies a death of horror, for the pride of Troy. Yet time, like Menelaus, all forgives. Helen Lais When Young by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org by phone. Lais when young, and all her charms in flower. Lais, whose beauty was the fateful light that led great ships to anchor in the night, and bring their priceless cargoes to her bower. Lais yet found her cup of sweet turned sour. Great Plato's pupil, from his lofty height, Xenocrates, unmoved, had seen the white sweet wonder of her, and defied her power. She snared the world in nets of subtle wiles. The proud, the famed, all clamoured at her gate. Dictators plead inside her portico. Wisdom sought madness in her favouring smiles. Now was she made the laughing-stock of fate. One loose Lais When Old by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org by phone. Lais, when old and all her beauty gone, Lais, the erstwhile courted pleasure queen, walked homeless through Corinth. One mocked her mien, one tossed her coins, she took them and passed on. Down by the harbour sloped a terraced lawn, where fountains played. She paused to view the scene. A marble palace stood in bowers of green. 'Twas here of old she revelled till the dawn. Through yonder portico her lovers came, hero and statesman, athlete, merchant, sage. They flung the whole world's treasures at her feet, to buy her favour and exalt her shame. She spat upon her dole of coins in rage, and Existence by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org by phone. You are here, and you are wanted, though a waif upon life's stair, though the sunlit hours are haunted with the shadowy shapes of care. Still the Great One, the All-Seeing, called your spirit into being, gave you strength for any fate. Since your life by Him was needed, all your ways by Him are heeded. You can trust and you can wait. You can wait to know the meaning of the troubles sent your soul, of the chasms intervening twixt your purpose and your goal, of the sorrows and the trials, of the silence and denials, ofttimes answering to your pleas, of the stinted sweets of pleasure, and of pain's too generous measure. You can wait the why of these. Forth from planet unto planet you have gone and you will go. Space is vast, but we must span it, for life's purpose is to know. Earth retains you but a minute, make the best of what lies in it. Light the pathway where you are. There is nothing worth the doing that will leave regret or rueing as you speed from star to star. You are part of the beginning, you are parcel of today. When He set His world to spinning, you were flung upon your way. When the system falls to pieces, when this pulsing epoch ceases, when the is becomes the was, you will live, for you will enter in the great creative center. Holiday Songs by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org by phone. 1. Sailing away on a summer sea, out of the bleak March weather, drifting away for a loaf and play, just you and I together. And it's goodbye worry and goodbye hurry, and never a care have we. With the sea below and the sun above, and nothing to do but dream and love, sailing away together. Sailing away from the grim old town and tasks the town calls duty. Sailing away from walls of grey to a land of bloom and beauty. And it's goodbye to letters from our lessers and our betters, to the cold world's smile or its frown. We sail away on a sunny track to find the summer and bring it back, and love is our only duty. 2. Afloat on a sea of passion, without a compass or chart, but the glow of your eye shows the sun is high by the sextant of my heart. I know we are nearing the tropics, by the languor that round us lies, and the smile on your mouth says the course is south, and the port is paradise. We have left grey skies behind us. We sail under skies of blue. You are off with me on lover's sea, and I am away with you. We have not a single sorrow, and I have but one fear, that my lips may miss one offered kiss from the mouth that is smiling near. There is no land of winter, there is no world of care. There is bloom and mirth all over the earth, and love, love everywhere. Our boat is the bark of pleasure, and whatever port we sight, the touch of your hand will make the land. Astrolabius by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org by phone. Astrolabius, the child of Abelard and Heloise. 1. I wrenched from a passing comet in its flight, by that great force of two mad hearts aflame, a soul incarnate, back to earth you came, to glow like stardust for a little night. Deep shadows hide you wholly from our sight. The centuries leave nothing but your name, tinged with the lustre of a splendid shame that blazed oblivion with rebellious light. The mighty passion that became your cause still burns its lengthening path across the years. We feel its raptures, and we see its tears, and ponder on its retributive laws. Time keeps that deathless story ever new, yet finds no answer when we ask of you. 2. At Argenteuil I saw the lonely cell where Heloise dreams through her broken rest, that baby lips pulled at her undried breast. It needed but my woman's heart to tell of those long vigils and the tears that fell, when aching arms reached out in fruitless quest, as after flight wings brood an empty nest. So well I know that sorrow, ah, so well. Across the centuries there comes no sound of that vast anguish, not one sigh or word or echo of the mother loss has stirred, the sea of silence, lasting and profound. Yet to each heart that once has felt this grief, sad memory restores time's missing leaf. 3. But what of you? Who took the mother's place, when sweet expanding love its object sought? Was there a voice to tell her tragic lot, and did you ever look upon her face? Was yours a cloistered seeking after grace? Or in the flame of adolescent thought, were Abelard's departed passions caught, to burn again in you, and leave their trace? Conceived in nature's bold primordial way, as in their revolutions suns create, you came to earth, a soul immaculate, baptized in fire, with some great part to play. What was that part, and wherefore hid from us, immortal mystery? Completion by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org by phone. When I shall meet God's generous dispensers of all the riches in the heavenly store, those lesser gods who act as recompensers for loneliness and loss upon the shore, methinks abashed, and somewhat hesitating, my soul its wish and longing will declare, lest they reply, here are no bounties waiting, we gave on earth your portion and your share. Then shall I answer, yea, I do remember the many blessings to my life allowed. My June was always longer than December, my sun was always stronger than my cloud. My joy was ever deeper than my sorrow, my gain was ever greater than my loss. My yesterday seemed less than my tomorrow, the crown looked always larger than the cross. I have known love in all its radiant splendor, it shone upon my pathway to the end. I trod no road that did not bloom with tender and fragrant blossoms, planted by some friend. And those material things we call successes, in modest measure, crowned my earthly lot. Yet there was one sweet happiness that blesses the life of woman, which to me came not. I knew the hope of motherhood, a season I felt a fluttering heart beat 'neath my own, a little cry, then silence. For that reason I dare to you my only wish make known. The babe who grew to angelhood in heaven I never watched unfold from child to man. And so I ask that unto me be given that motherhood which was God's primal plan. All womankind he meant to share its glories, he meant us all to nurse our babes to rest, to croon them songs, to tell them sleepy stories, else why the wonder of a woman's breast? He must provide for all earth's cheated mothers in his vast heavens of shining sphere on sphere, and with my son there must be many others, my spirit children, who will claim me here. Fair creatures by my loving thoughts created, too finely fashioned for a mortal birth. Between the borders of two worlds they waited, until they saw my spirit leave the earth. In God's great nursery they must be waiting, to welcome me with many an infant while. Now let me go and satisfy this longing to mother. Sleep's Treachery by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org by phone. As the grey twilight tiptoed down the deep and shadowy valley to the day's dark end, she whom I thought my ever faithful friend, fair-browed, calm-eyed, and mother-bosomed Sleep, met me with smiles. "Poor longing heart, I keep sweet joy for you," she murmured. "I will send one whom you love, with your own soul to blend in visions, as the night hours onward creep." I trusted her, and watched by starry beams, I slumbered soundly, free from all alarms. Then not my love, but one long banished came, led by false sleep, down secret stairs of dreams, and clasped me, unresisting, in fond arms. Oh, treacherous Art versus Cupid by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org. By phone as Maiden.
Nemo is Cupid.
And
Narrator read by Larry Wilson. A room in a private house. A maiden sitting before a fire meditating.
now have I fully fixed upon my part. Good-bye to dreams, for me a life of art, Beloved art, O realm serene and fair, above the mean and sordid world of care, above earth's small ambitions and desires. Art, art, the very word my soul inspires. From foolish memories it sets me free. Not what has been, but that which is to be absorbs me now. Adieu to vain regret. The bow is tensely drawn, the target set.
A knock at the door. Maid aside.
The night is dark and chill, the hour is late.
Aloud.
Who knocks upon my door?
A voice outside.
'Tis I, your fate.
Thou dost deceive, not me, but thine own self. My fate is not a wandering, vagrant elf. My fate is here, within this throbbing heart, that beats alone for glory, and for art.
Another knock at door.
Pray let me in. I am so faint and cold.
Door is pushed ajar. Enter Cupid, who approaches the fire with outstretched hands.
Methinks thou art not faint, however cold, but rather too courageous, and most bold. Surprisingly ill-mannered, sir, and rude, without an invitation to intrude into my very presence.
Cupid warming his hands.
But, you see, girls never mind a little chap like me. They're always watching for me on the sly, and hoping I will call.
Indeed, not I. My heart has listened to a sweeter voice, a clarion call that gives command, not choice, and I have answered to that call, I come. To other voices shall my ears be dumb. To art alone I consecrate my life. Art is my spouse, and I his willing wife.
Cupid slowly gazing in the grate.
Art is a sultan, and you must divide his love with many another ill-fed bride. Now, I know one who worships you alone.
Maid impatiently.
I will not listen, for the dice is thrown, and art has won me. On my brow some day shall rest the laurel wreath.
Cupid sitting down and looking at Maid critically.
Just let me say, I think sweet orange blossoms under lace are better suited to your type of face.
Maid ignoring interruption.
I yet shall stand before an audience that listens as one mind, absorbed, intense, and with my genius I shall rouse its cheers, still it to silence, soften it to tears, or wake its laughter. Oh, the play, the play, the play's the thing, my boy, the play.
Cupid suddenly clapping his hands.
Oh, say, I know a splendid rôle for you to take, and one that always keeps the house awake, and calls for pretty dressing. Oh, it's great.
Maid excitedly.
Well, well, what is it? Wherefore make me wait?
Cupid tapping his brow thoughtfully.
How is it those lines run? Oh, now I know. You make a stately entrance, measured, slow, to stirring music, then you kneel and say something about to honor and obey, for better and for worse, till death do part.
Be still, you foolish boy, that is not art.
Cupid seriously.
She needs great skill who takes the role of wife in God's stupendous drama, human life.
Maid suddenly becoming serious.
So I once thought. Oh, once my very soul was filled and thrilled with dreaming of that role. Life seemed so wonderful. It held for me no purpose, no ambition, but to be loving and loved, My highest thought of fame was some day bearing my dear lover's name. Alone I ofttimes uttered it aloud, or wrote it down, half timid and all proud to see myself lost utterly in him. As some small star my joy in growing dim, when sinking in the sun, or as the dew, forgetting the brief little life it knew in space, might on the ocean's bosom fall, and ask for nothing, only to give all.
Cupid aside.
Now that's the talk. It's music to my ear. After that stuff on art and a career, I hope she'll keep it up.
Maiden continuing her reverie.
Again my dream shaped into changing pictures. I would seem to see myself in beautiful array move down the aisle upon my wedding day. And then I saw the modest living room with lighted lamp and fragrant plants in bloom, and books and sewing scattered all about, and just we two alone.
Cupid in glee aside.
There's not a doubt I'll land her yet.
My dream kaleidoscope changed still again, and framed love's dearest hope, the trinity of home, and life was good, and all its deepest meaning understood.
Sits lost in a dream. Behind scenes a voice sings a lullaby. Beautiful land of Nod. Cupid in ecstasy tiptoes about and claps his hands in delight.
Another scene, a matron in her prime, I saw myself glide peacefully with time into the quiet middle years, content with simple joys the dear home circle lent. My sons and daughters made my diadem. I saw my happy youth renewed in them. The pain of growing old lost all its sting, for love stood near, in winter as in spring.
Cupid tiptoes to the door and makes a signal. Maiden starts up dramatically.
'Twas but a dream. I woke all suddenly. The world had changed, and now life means to me my art, the stage, excitement and the crowd, the glare of many footlights, and the loud applause of men, as I cry in rage, "Give me the dagger!" or creep down the stage in that sleep-walking scene. Oh, art like mine will send the chills down every listener's spine. And when I choose, salt tears shall freely flow as in the moonlight I cry, "Romeo, Romeo, oh wherefore art thou Romeo?" Aye, 'tis done, my dream of home life.
It is but begun.
The heart but once can dream a dream so fair, and so henceforth love thoughts I do forswear. Since faith in love has crumbled to the dust, in fame alone I put my hope and trust.
Cupid at the door beckons excitedly. Enter lover with outstretched arms.
Here's one who will explain yourself to you, and make that old sweet dream of love come true. Fix up your foolish quarrel. Time is brief, so waste no more of it in doubt or grief.
The lovers meet and embrace. Cupid in doorway.
Warm lip to lip and heart to beating heart. The cast is made. My lady.
The Revolt of Vashti, from the Drama of Mispa, by Ella Wheeler Wilcox, read for LibriVox.org, by Phone as Vashti, and
Nemo as Ahasuerus. Is this the way to greet thy loving spouse, but now returned from scenes of blood and strife? I pray thee, raise thy veil, and let me gaze upon that beauty which hath greater power to conquer me than all the arts of war.
My beauty, ay, my beauty, I do hold in thy regard no more an honoured place than yonder marble pillar, or the gold and jewelled wine-cup which thy lips caress. Thou wouldst degrade me in the people's sight.
Degrade thee, Vashti. Rather do I seek to show my people who are gathered here how, as the consort of so fair a queen, I feel more pride than is the mighty king. For there be many rulers on the earth, but only one such queen. Come, raise thy veil.
Ay, only one such queen. A queen is one who shares her husband's greatness and his throne. I am no more than yonder dancing girl who struts and smirks before a royal court. But I will lose my veil and lose my tongue. Now listen, sire, my master and my king, and let thy princes and the court give ear. 'Tis time all heard how Vashti feels her shame.
Shame is no word to couple with thy name. Shame and a spotless woman may not meet, even in a sentence. Choose another word.
Ay, shame, my lord, there is no synonym that can give voice to my ignoble state. To be a thing for eyes to gaze upon, yet held an outcast from thy heart and mind. To hear my beauty praised, but not my worth. To come and go at pleasure's beck and call, while barred from wisdom's conclave. Think ye that a noble calling for a noble dame? Why, any concubine amongst thy train could play my royal part as well as I, were she as fair.
Queen Vashti, art thou mad? I would behead another did he dare to so besmirch thee with comparison.
Gaze now your fill. Behold Queen Vashti's eyes. How large they gleam beneath her inch of brow. How like a great white star her splendid face shines through the midnight forest of her hair. And see the crushed pomegranate of her mouth. Observe her arms, her throat, her gleaming breasts, whereon the royal jewels rise and fall. And note the crescent curving of her hips, and lovely limbs suggested 'neath her robes. Gaze, gaze, I say, for these have made her queen. She hath no mind, no heart, no dignity, worth royal recognition and regard. But her fair body approbation meets, and whets the sated appetite of kings. Now ye have seen what she was bid to show. The queen has played her part, and begs to go.
Ay, Vashti, go and never more return. Not only hast thou wronged thine own true lord, and mocked and shamed me in the people's eyes, but thou hast wronged all princes and all men by thy pernicious and rebellious ways. Queens act, and subjects imitate. So let Queen Vashti weigh her conduct and her words, or be no more called queen.
I was a princess ere I was a queen, and worthy of a better fate than this. There lies the crown that made me queen in name. Here stands the woman, wife in name alone. Now, no more queen, nor wife, but woman still. I, and a woman strong enough. The Choosing of Esther, from the Drama of Mizpah, by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org, by Phone as Esther, and
Nemo as Ahasuerus. Tell me thy name.
My name, great sire, is Esther.
So thou art Esther? Esther. 'Tis a name breathed into sound as softly as a sigh. A woman's name should melt upon the lips like love's first kisses, and thy countenance is fit companion for so sweet a name.
Thou art most kind. I would my name and face were mine own making, and not accident. Then I might feel elated at thy praise, where now I feel confusion.
Thou hast wit, as well as beauty, Esther. Both are gems that do embellish woman in man's sight. Yet they are gems of second magnitude. Dost thou possess the one great perfect gem, the matchless jewel of the world called love?
Sire, in the heart of every woman dwells that wondrous perfect gem.
Then, Esther, speak, and tell me what is love. I fain would know thy definition of that much-mouthed word, by woman most employed, least understood.
What can a humble Jewish maiden know that would instruct a warrior and a king? I have but dreamed of love as maidens will, while thou hast known its fullness. All the world loves great Ahasuerus.
All the world fears great Ahasuerus. Kings, my child, are rarely loved as anything but kings. Love, as I see it in the court and camp, means seeking royal favor. I would know how love is fashioned in a maiden's dreams.
Sire, love seeks nothing that kings can bestow. Love is the king of all kings here below. Love makes the monarch but a bashful boy. Love makes the peasant monarch in his joy. Love seeks not place, all places are the same when lighted by the radiance of love's flame. Who deems proud love could vaunt power and splendor hath known not love, but some base-born pretender.
If this be love, I would know more of it. Speak on, fair Esther. What is love beside?
Love is in all things are in love. Love is the earth, the sea, the skies above. Love is the bird, the blossom, and the wind. Love hath a million eyes, yet love is blind. Love is a tempest, awful in its might. Love is the silence of a moonlit night. Love is the aim of every human soul, and he who hath not loved hath missed life's goal.
But tell me of thyself, of thine own dreams. How wouldst thou love, and how be loved again?
Who most doth love thinks least of love's return. She is content to feel the passion burn in her own bosom, and its sacred fire consumes each selfish purpose and desire. 'Tis in the giving love's best rapture lies, not in the counting of the things it buys.
Yet is there not vast anguish and despair in love that finds no answering word or smile?
So radiant is love, it lends a glow to each dark sorrow and to every woe. To love completely is to part with pain, nor is there mortal who can love in vain. Love is its own reward, it pays full measure, and in love's sharpest grief lies subtlest pleasure.
Methinks a mighty warrior, lord, or king must in thy fancy play the lover's part. None else could wake such reverential thought.
When woman loves one born of lowly state, her thought gives crown and sceptre to her mate. Yet be he king or chief of some great clan, She loves him but as woman loves a man. Monarch or peasant, 'tis the same, I wis, when once she gives. Honeymoon Scene, from the drama of Mizpah, by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org, by phone as Esther.
Nemo as Ahasuerus.
And
Minstrel, read by Larry Wilson.
What were thy thoughts, sweet Esther? Something passed across thy face, that for a moment veiled thy soul from mine, and left me desolate. Thy thoughts were not of me?
I, all of thee. I wondered if in truth thou wert content with me, thy choice. Was there no other one of all who passed before thee at thy court, whose memory pursues thee with regret?
I do confess I much regret that day, and wish I could relive it.
Oh, my lord!
Yea, I regret those hours I wasted on the poor procession that preceded thee. Hadst thou come first, then all the added wealth of one long day of loving thee were mine, a boundless fortune squandered. Though I live to 80 years and 10, as I do hope, in wedded love beside thee, that one day was filched from me and cannot be restored.
And then to think how frightened and abashed I hung outside thy gates from early morn, not daring to go in and meet thine eyes, till pitying twilight clothed me in her veil, and evening walked beside me to thy door.
So it was thou, fair thief, who stole that day, and made me poorer by how many hours?
Full 8, I think. They seemed 100 then, and now time flies 100 times too fast.
Then 8 more kisses do I claim from thee, this very hour. First tithes of many due. I shall exact these payments as I will, and if they be not ready on demand, I'll lock thee in the prison of my arms, like this, and take them so, and so, and so.
But kings must think of other things than love, and live for other aims than happiness. I would not drag thee from thy altitude of mighty ruler and great conqueror, to chain thee by my side.
Such slavery would please me better than to conquer earth without thee, Esther. I have stood on heights and heard the cheers of multitudes below, have known the loneliness of being great. Now, let me live and love thee like a man, forgetting I am king. I am content.
Content is not the pathway to great deeds. As man, I hold thee higher than all kings. As king, thou must stand higher than all men in other eyes. Let no one say of me, she spoiled his greatness by her littleness. She made a languorous lover of a king, and silenced war cries on commanding lips. With honeyed kisses, made her woman's arms preferred to armor, and her couch to tents, until the kingdom, with no guiding hand, plunged down to ruin.
Thou wouldst have me go? So soon thy heart hath wearied?
My heart is bursting with its love for thee. Canst thou not feel its fervor? But great men need wiser guidance than a woman's heart. My pride in thee is equal to my love, and I would have thee greater than thou art. Aye, greater than all other men on earth. Thou forced long years to feed my hungry heart on food of memories and wine of tears, wert thou but winning glory and renown.
Thou art most noble, Esther. Thou art fit to be the consort of a king of kings. But I have chewed upon ambition's husk, and starved for love through all my manhood's years. And now the mighty gods have seen it fit to spread love's banquet and to name thee host. May I not feast my fill? O Esther, take the tempting nectar of those lips away, and give me wine to rouse the brute in me, to make me thirst for blood instead of love. Wine, wine, I say.
Ahasuerus, wait! Methinks good music is wine turned to sound. Here comes thy minstrel with an offering pressed from the ripened fruit of my fond heart. Mine own the words, and mine the melody, and may it linger longer in thine ear than on thy lip would stay the taste of wine. Sing on.
When from the field returning, love is a warrior's yearning, love in his heart is burning, love is his dream. Talk not to him of glory, speak not of faces gory, sing of love's tender story. Make it thy theme. Sing of his lady's tresses, sing of the smile that blesses, sing of the sweet caresses. And yet again, sing of fair children's faces, sing of the dear home graces, sing till the vacant places ring with thy strain. Yet as the days go speeding, shall he arise unheeding, love songs or words of pleading, strong in his might. Helmet and armor wearing, hies he to deeds of daring, forth to the battle faring, back to the fight. Sing now of ranks contending, sing of loud voices blending, sing of great warriors sending death to their foes. Sing of war missiles humming, strike into martial drumming, sing of great victory coming. As forth he goes, back to the battle faring, back into deeds of daring, back to the fight.
No less a lover, but a greater man, a better warrior and a nobler king, I will be from
The Cost by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org by phone. God finished woman in the twilight hour, and said, Tomorrow thou shalt find thy place, man's completement, the mother of the race, with love the motive power, the one compelling power. All night she dreamed and wondered. With delight her lover came, and then she understood the purpose of her being. Life was good, and all the world seemed right, and nothing was but right. She had no wish for any wider sway. By all the questions of the world unvexed, supremely loving and superbly sexed, she passed upon her way, her feminine fair way. But God neglected, when he fashioned man, to fuse the molten splendor of his mind with that sixth sense he gave to womankind, and so he marred his plan, aye, marred his own great plan. She asked so little, and so much she gave, that man grew selfish, and she soon became, to God's great sorrow and the whole world's shame, man's sweet and patient slave, his uncomplaining slave. Yet in the nights, oh, nights so dark and long, she clasped her little children to her breast and wept, and in her anguish of unrest she thought upon her wrong, she knew how great her wrong. And one sad hour she said unto my heart, Since thou art cause of all my bitter pain, I bid thee abdicate the throne, let brain rule now and do his part, his masterful, strong part. She wept no more, by new ambition stirred, her ways led out to regions strange and vast, Men stood aside and watched, dismayed, aghast, and all the world demurred, misjudged her and demurred. Still on and up from sphere to widening sphere, till thorny paths bloomed with the rose of fame. Who once demurred, now followed with acclaim. The hiss died in the cheer, the loud applauding cheer. She stood triumphant in that radiant hour, man's mental equal and competitor. But ah, the cost! From out the heart of her had gone love's motive power. The Voice by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org by phone. I dreamed a voice of one God authorized cried loudly through the world, "Disarm! Disarm!" And there was consternation in the camps, and men who strutted under braid and lace beat on their medalled breasts and wailed, "Undone!" The word was echoed from 1,000 hills, and shop and mill, and factory and forge, where throve the awful industries of death, hushed into silence, scrawled upon the doors the passer read, "Peace bids her children starve." But foolish women clasped their little sons, and wept for joy, not reasoning like men. Again the voice commanded, "Now go forth, and build a world for progress and for peace. This work has waited since the earth was shaped, but men were fighting, and they could not toil. The needs of life outnumber needs of death. Leave death with God. Go forth, I say, and build." And then a sudden, comprehensive joy shone in the eyes of men, and one who thought only of conquest and of victories woke from his gloomy reverie and cried, "Aye, come and build! I challenge all to try, and I will make a world more beautiful than Eden was before the serpent came." And like a running flame on western wilds, ambition spread from mind to listening mind, and lo, the looms were busy once again, and all the earth resounded with men's toil. Vast palaces of science graced the world, their banquet tables spread with feasts of truth for all who hungered. Music kissed the air, once rent with boom of cannons. Statues gleamed from wooded ways where ambushed armies hid in times of old. The sea and air were gay with shining sails that soared from land to land. A universal language of the world made nations kin, and poverty was known but as a word marked obsolete, like war. The arts were kindled with celestial fire, new poets sang so Homer's fame grew dim, and brush and chisel gave the wondering race sublimer treasures than old Greece displayed. Men differed still, fierce argument arose, for men are human in this human sphere. But unarmed arbitration stood between, and reason settled in 100 hours what war disputed for 100 years. Oh, that a voice of one God authorized might cry to all mankind. God's Answer by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org by phone. Once in a time of trouble and of care, I dreamed I talked with God about my pain. with sleepland courage, daring to complain of what I deemed ungracious and unfair. Lord, I have grovelled on my knees in prayer, hour after hour, I cried, yet all in vain. No hand leads up to heights I would attain, no path is shown me out of my despair. Then answered God, 3 things I gave to thee, clear brain, brave will, and strength of mind and heart, all implements divine to shape the way. Why shift the burden of thy toil on me, till to the utmost he has done his part with all his might? The Edict of the Sex by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org by Fawn. 2,000 years had passed since Christ was born, when suddenly there rose a mighty host of women, sweeping to a central goal as many rivers sweep on to the sea. They came from mountains, valleys, and from coasts, and from all lands, all nations, and all ranks, speaking all languages, but thinking one, and that one language, peace. Listen, they said, and straightway was there silence on the earth, for men were dumb with wonder and surprise. Listen, O mighty masters of the world, and hear the edict of all womankind, since Christ his new commandment gave to men, love one another. Full 2,000 years have passed away, yet earth is red with blood. The strong male rulers of the world proclaim their weakness when we ask that war shall cease. Now will the poor weak women of the world proclaim their strength and say that war shall end. Hear then our edict. Never from this day will any woman on the crust of earth mother a warrior. We have sworn the oath and will go barren to the waiting tomb, rather than breed strong sons at war's behest, or bring fair daughters into life, to bear the pains of travail, for no end but war. Aye, let the race die out for lack of babes. Better a dying race than endless wars. Better a silent world than noise of guns and clash of armies. Long we asked for peace, and oft you promised, but to fight again. At last you told us, war must ever be while men existed, laughing at our plea for the disarmament of all mankind. Then in our hearts flamed such a mad desire for peace on earth, as lights the world at times with some great conflagration, and it spread from distant land to land, from sea to sea, until all women thought as with one mind, and spoke as with one voice, and now behold, the great crusading syndicate of peace, filling all space with one supreme resolve. Give us, O men, your word that war shall end. Disarm the world, and we will give you sons. Sons to construct, and daughters to adorn a beautiful new earth, where there shall be fewer and finer people, opulence and opportunity and peace for all. Until you promise peace, no shrill birth cry shall sound again upon the aging earth. We wait your answer. And the world The World Child by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org iPhone. At times I am the mother of the world, and mine seem all its sorrows and its fears. That rose which in each mother heart is curled, the rose of pity, opens with my tears, and, waking in the night, I lie and hark to the lone sobbing and the wild alarms of my world child, a wailing in the dark, the child I fain would shelter in my arms. I call to it, as from another room a mother calls what time she cannot go. Sleep well, dear world, love hides behind this gloom, there is no need for wakefulness or woe. The long, long night is almost past and gone, the day is near, and yet the world weeps on. Again I follow it throughout the day. With anxious eyes I see it trip and fall, and hurt itself in many a foolish way, childlike, unheeding warning word or call. I see it grasp, and grasping break the toys it cried to own, then toss them on the floor, and breathless hurry after fancied joys that cease to please when added to its store. I see the lacerations on its hands, made by forbidden tools, but when it weeps I also weep, as one who understands, and having been a child, the memory keeps. Ah, my poor world, however wrong thy part, The Heights by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org by phone. I cried, "Dear angel, lead me to the heights, and spur me to the top." The angel answered, "Stop, and set thy house in order, make it fair for absent ones who may be speeding there. Then will we talk of heights." I put my house in order. "Now lead on." The angel said, "Not yet. Thy garden is beset by thorns and tares. Go weed it, so all those who come to gaze may find the unvexed rose. Then will we journey on." I weeded well my garden. "All is done." The angel shook his head. "A beggar stands," he said, "outside thy gates, till thou hast given heed, and soothed his sorrow, and supplied his need. Say not that all is done." The beggar left me, singing. Now at last the path is clear. Nay, there is one draws near, who seeks, like thee, the difficult highway. He lacks thy courage, cheer him through the day. Then will we cry, "At last." I helped my weaker brother. "Now the heights, oh guide me, angel, guide." The presence at my side, with radiant face, said, "Look, where are we now?" And lo, we stood upon the mountain's brow. On Seeing the House of Julia at Herculaneum by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org by phone. Not great Vesuvius in all his ire, nor all the centuries could hide your shame. There is the little window where you came, with eyes that woke the demon of desire, and lips like rose leaves, fashioned out of fire. And from the lava leaps the molten flame of your old sins. The walls cry out your name. Your face seems rising from the funeral pyre. There must have dwelt, within your fated town, full many a virtuous dame and noble wife, who made your beauty seem as star to sun. How strange the centuries have handed down your name, fair Julia, of immoral life. A Prayer by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org by phone. Master of sweet and loving lore, give us the open mind to know religion means no more, no less than being kind. Give us the comprehensive sight that sees another's need, and let our aim to set things right prove God inspired our creed. Give us the soul to know our kin that dwell in flock and herd, the voice to fight man's shameful sin against the beast and bird. Give us a heart with love so fraught for all created things, that even our unspoken thought bears healing on its wings. Give us religion that will cope with life's colossal woes, and turn a radiant face of hope on troops of pygmy foes. Give us the mastery of our fate in thoughts so warm and white, they stamp upon the brows of hate love's glorious seal of light. Give us the strong, courageous faith that makes of pain a friend, and calls the secret word. What is Right Living? By Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org by phone. What is right living? Just to do your best when worst seems easier, to bear the ills of daily life with patient cheerfulness, not waste dear time recounting them. To talk of hopeful things when doubt is in the air, to count your blessings often, giving thanks, and to accept your sorrow silently, nor question why you suffer. To accept the whole of life as one perfected plan, and welcome each event as part of it. To work and love your work, to trust, to pray for larger usefulness and clearer sight. This is right living, pleasing in God's eyes. Justice by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org by phone. However inexplicable may seem event and circumstance upon this earth, though favours fall on those whom none esteem, and insult and indifference great worth, though poverty repays the life of toil, and riches spring where idle feet have trod, and storms lay waste the patiently tilled soil, yet justice sways the universe of God. As undisturbed the stately stars remain beyond the glare of day's obscuring light, so justice dwells, though mortal eyes in vain seek it persistently by reason's sight. But when, once freed, the illumined soul looks out, its cry Time's Gaze by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org by Fawn. Time looked me in the eyes while passing by the milestone of the year. That piercing gaze was both an accusation and reproach. No speech was needed. In a sorrowing look more meaning lies than in complaining words, and silence hurts as keenly as reproof. O opulent, kind giver of rich hours, how have I used thy benefits? As babes unstring a necklace, laughing at the sound of priceless jewels dropping one by one, so have I laughed while precious moments rolled into the hidden corners of the past, and I have let large opportunities for high endeavor move unheeded by, while little joys and cares absorbed my strength. And yet, dear Time, set to my credit this: not one white hour have I made black with hate, nor wished one living creature aught but good. Be patient with me. Though the sun slants west, the day has not yet finished, and I feel necessity for action and resolve bear in upon my consciousness. I know the earth's eternal need of earnest souls, and the great hunger of the world for love. I know the goal to high achievement lies through the dull pathway of self-conquest first. And on the stairs of little duties done, we climb to joys that stand thy test. O Time, be patient with me, and another day, perchance, in The Worker and the Work by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org by Phone. In what I do, I note the marring flaw, the imperfections of the work I see. Nor am I one who rather do than be, since its reversal is creation's law. Nay, since there lies a better and a worse, a lesser and a larger, in men's view, I would be better than the thing I do, as God is greater than his universe. He shaped himself before he shaped one world, a million eons toiling day and night. He built himself to majesty and might, before the planets into space were hurled. And when creation's early work was done, what crude beginnings out of chaos came! A formless nebula, a wavering flame, an errant comet, a voracious sun. And, still unable to perfect his plan, what awful creatures at his touch found birth! Those protoplasmic monsters of the earth, that owned the world before he fashioned man. And now, behold the poor unfinished state of this his latest masterpiece. Then why, seeing the flaws in my own work, should I be troubled that no voice proclaims it great? Before me lie the cycling rounds of years. With this small earth will die the thing I do. The thing I am goes journeying onward through a million lives upon a million spheres. My work I build as best I can and may, knowing all mortal efforts end in dust. I build myself, not as I may, but must, knowing, or good or ill, that self must stay. Along the ages, out and on, afar, its journey leads, and must perforce be made. Likewise its choice, with things of shame and shade, or up the path of light, from star to star. When all these solar systems shall disperse, perchance this labor and this self-control may find reward, and my completed soul will Art Thou Alive? By Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org by phone. Art thou alive? Nay, not too soon reply. Though hand and foot and lip and ear and eye respond and do thy bidding, yet, maybe, grim death has done his direst work with thee. Life, as God gives it, is a thing apart from active body and from beating heart. It is the vital spark, the unseen fire, that moves the mind to reason and aspire. It is the force that bids emotion roll in mighty billows from the surging soul. It is the light that grows from hour to hour, and floods the brain with consciousness of power. It is the spirit dominating all, and reaching God with its imperious call, until the shining glory of his face illuminates each sorrowful dark place. It is the truth that sets the bondsman free, knowing he will be what he wills to be. With its unburied dead the earth is sad. Art thou alive? Proclaim it and be glad. Perchance the dead may hear thee and arise, knowing they live. Today, by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org by phone. I love this age of energy and force. Expectantly I greet each pregnant hour, emerging from the all-creative source, supreme with promise, imminent with power. The strident whistle and the clanging bell, the noise of gongs, the rush of motored things are but the prophet voices which foretell a time when thought may use unfettered wings. Too long the drudgery of earth has been a barrier twixt man and his own mind. Remove the stone, and lo, the Christ within, for he is there, and who so seeks shall find. The great inventor is the modern priest. He paves the pathway to a higher goal. Once from the grind of endless toil released, man will explore the kingdom of his soul. And all this restless rush, this strain and strife, this noise and glare is but the fanfarade that ushers in the more majestic life, where faith shall walk with science, unafraid. I feel the strong vibrations of the earth, I sense the coming of an hour sublime, and bless the star that watched above. The Ladder by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org by phone. Unto each mortal who comes to earth, a ladder is given by God at birth, and up this ladder the soul must go, step by step from the valley below. Step by step to the center of space, on this ladder of lives, to the starting place. In time departed, which yet endures, I shaped my ladder, and you shaped yours. Whatever they are what we made, a ladder of light or a ladder of shade, a ladder of love or a hateful thing, a ladder of strength or a wavering string, a ladder of gold or a ladder of straw, each is the ladder of righteous law. We flung them away at the call of death, we took them again with the next life breath. For a keeper stands by the great birth gates, as each soul passes, its ladder waits. Though mine be narrow and yours be broad, on my ladder alone can I climb to God. On your ladder alone can your feet ascend, for none may borrow and none may lend. If toil and trouble and pain are found, twisted and corded to form each round, if rusted iron or mouldering wood is the fragile frame, you must make it good. You must build it over and fashion it strong, though the task be hard, as your life is long. For up this ladder the pathway leads to earthly pleasures and spirit needs, and all that may come in another way shall be but illusion and will not stay. In useless effort, then, waste no time. Who is a Christian? By Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org by phone. Who is a Christian in this Christian land of many churches and of lofty spires? Not he who sits in soft upholstered pews, bought by the profits of unholy greed, and looks devotion while he thinks of gain. Not he who sends petitions from the lips that lie tomorrow in the street and mart. Not he who fattens on another's toil, and flings his unearned riches to the poor, or aids the heathen with a lessened wage, and builds cathedrals with an increased rent. Christ, with thy great, sweet, simple creed of love, how must thou weary of earth's Christian clans, who preach salvation through thy saving blood, while planning slaughter of their fellow men? Who is a Christian? It is one whose life is built on love, on kindness, and on faith, who holds his brother as his other self, who toils for justice, equity, and peace, and hides no aim or purpose in his heart that will not accord with universal good. Though he be pagan, heretic, or Jew, that man is Christian. The Goal by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org by phone. All your wonderful inventions, all your houses vast and tall, all your great gun-fronted vessels, every fort and every wall, with the passing of the ages they shall pass and they shall fall. As you sit among the idols that your avarice gave birth, as you count the hoarded treasures that you think of priceless worth, Time is digging tombs to hide them in the bosom of the earth. There shall come a great convulsion, or a rushing tidal wave, or a sound of mighty thunders from a subterranean cave, and a boasting world's possessions shall be buried in one grave. From the centuries of silence we are bringing back again buried vase and bust and column and the gods they worshipped then, in the strange unmentioned cities built by prehistoric men. Did they steal and lie and slaughter? Did they steep their souls in shame? Did they sell eternal virtues just to win a passing fame? Did they give the gold of honor for the tinsel of a name? We are hurrying all together toward the silence and the night. There is nothing worth the seeking but the sun-kissed moral height. There is nothing worth the doing. The Spur by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org by phone. I asked the rock beside the road what joy existence lent. It answered, "For 1,000,000 years my heart has been content." I asked the truffle-seeking swine, as rooting by he went, "What is the keynote of your life?" He grunted out, "Content." I asked a slave, who toiled and sung just what his singing meant. He plodded on his changeless way and said, "I am content." I asked a plutocrat of greed on what his thoughts were bent. He chinked the silver in his purse and said, "I am content." I asked the mighty forest tree from whence its force was sent. Its 1,000 branches spoke as one and said, "From discontent." I asked the message speeding on by what great law was rent God's secret from the waves of space. It said, "From discontent." I asked the marble where the works of God and man were blent, what brought the statue from the block. It answered, "Discontent." I asked an angel looking down on earth with gaze intent, how man should rise to larger growth. Quoth Awakened by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org by phone. Slowly the people waken. They have been, like weary soldiers, sleeping in their tents, while traitors tiptoed through the silent camp, intent on plunder. Suddenly a sound, a careless movement of too bold a thief, starts one dull sleeper. Then another stirs, a third cries out a warning, and at last the people are awake. Oh, when as one the many rise, united and alert, with justice for their motto, they reflect the mighty force of God's omnipotence, and nothing stands before them. Lusty greed, tyrannical corruption long in power, and smirking cant, whose right hand robs and slays, so that the left may dower church and school. Monopoly, whose mandate took from toil the mother earth, that idleness might lull and breed the monster of colossal wealth. All these must fall before the gathering force of public indignation. That old strife, which marks the progress of each century, the war of right with might, is on once more, and shame to him who does not take his stand. This is the weightiest moment of all time, and on the issues of the present hour, a nation's honor and a country's peace, a people's future, aye, a world's depends. Until the vital questions of the day are solved and settled, and the spendthrift thieves who rob the coffers of the saving poor are led from fashion's feasts to prison fare, and taught the saving grace of honest work. Till labor claims the privilege of toil, and toil the proceeds of its labor shares. Let no man sleep. Let Shadows by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org by phone. I am sorry in the gladness of the joys that crown my days, for the souls that sit in sadness or walk uninviting ways. On the radiance of my labor that a loving fate bestowed, falls the shadow of my neighbor, crushed beneath a thankless load. As the canticle of pleasure from my love-lit altar rolls, there is one discordant measure as I think of homeless souls. And I know that grim old story, preached from pulpits, is not so, for no God could sit in glory and see sinners writhe below. In that great eternal center, where all human life has birth, boundless love and pity enter and flow downward to the earth. And all souls in sin or sorrow are but passing through the night, and I know on some tomorrow God The New Commandment by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org by phone. Let Go the Cross. Gertrude Runchen. I heard a strange voice in the distance calling, as from a star an echo might be falling. It spoke 4 syllables, concise and brief, charged with a God-sent message of relief. Let go the cross. Oh, you who cling to sorrow, hark to the new command and comfort borrow. Even as the Master left his cross below and rose to paradise, let go, let go. Forget your wrongs, your troubles and your losses, for with the tools of thought we build our crosses. Forget your griefs, all grudges and all fear, and enter paradise, its gates are near. Heaven is a realm by loving souls created, and hell was fashioned by the hearts that hated. Love, hope and trust, believe all joys are yours. Life pays the soul whose confidence endures the blows of adverse fate by larger pleasures, as after storms the soil yields fuller measures. Let go the cross, roll self, the stone, away, and dwell with love. Summer Dreams by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org by phone. When the summer sun is shining, and the green things push and grow, oft my heart runs over measure with its flowing fount of pleasure, as I feel the sea winds blow. Ah, then life is good, I know. And I think of sweet birds building, and of children fair and free, and of glowing sun-kissed meadows, and of tender twilight shadows, and of boats upon the sea. Oh, then life seems good to me. Then, unbidden and unwanted, come the darker, sadder sights. City shop and stifling alley, where misfortune's children rally, and the hot crime-breeding nights, and the dearth of God's delights. And I think of narrow prisons, where unhappy songbirds dwell, and of cruel pens and cages, where some captured wild thing rages like a madman in his cell, in the zoo, the wild beast's hell. And I long to lift the burden of man's selfishness and sin, and to open wide earth's treasures of God's storehouse full of pleasures for my dumb and human kin. The Breaking of Chains by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org by phone. Between the ringing of bells and the musical clang of chimes, I hear a sound like the breaking of chains all through these Christmas times. For the thought of the world is waking out of a slumber deep and long, and the race is beginning to understand how right can master wrong. And the eyes of the world are opening wide, and great are the truths they see. And the heart of the world is singing a song, and its burden is, "Be free." Now the thought of the world, and the wish of the world, and the song of the world will make a force so strong that the fetters forged for 1,000,000 years must break. Fetters of superstitious fear have bound the race to creeds that hindered the upward march of man to the larger faith he needs. Fetters of greed and pride have made the race bow down to kings, but the pompous greed and the costly throne must yield to simpler things. The thought of the world has climbed above old paths for centuries trod, and cloth and crown no longer mean the vested power of God. The race no longer bends beneath the weight of Adam's sin, but stands erect and knows itself the Maker's first of kin. And the need of the world, and the wish of the world, and the song of the world I hear, all through the clanging and clashing of bells, this Christmas time of the year. And I hear a sound like the breaking of chains, and it seems to say to me, in the voice of one who spoke of all, December by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org by phone. Upon December's windy portico the old year stood and looked out where the sun went wading down the west through drifting clouds. "I too shall sink full soon to rest," he sighed, "and follow where my children's feet have trod. Brave January, beauteous May and June, my lovely daughters and my valiant sons, all save one, have left me for that bourne men call the past. It seems but yesterday I saw fair August, laughing with the sea, snaring the earth with her seductive wiles, and making conquest even of the sun. Yet she has gone and left me here to mourn." Then spake December from an open door, "Father, the night grows cold, come in and rest. Sit with me here beside this glowing grate. I have not left thee, thou art not alone. My house is thine, all warm with love and light, and bright with holly and with cedar sweet. My stalwart arm is thine to lean upon. The feast is spread, I only wait for thee. God smiles upon thy dead, smile thou on me." Then through the open door the old year The Way by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org by phone. However certain of the way thou art, take not the self-appointed leader's part. Follow no man, and by no man be led, and no man lead. Awake and go ahead. Thy path, though leading straight into the goal, might prove confusing to another soul. The goal is central, but from east and west and north and south we set out on the quest. From lofty mountains and from valleys low, how could all find one common way to go? Lord Buddha to the wilderness was brought, Lord Jesus to the cross, and yet think not by solitude or cross thou canst achieve, lest in thine own true self thou dost believe. Know thou art one with life's almighty source, then are thy feet set on the certain course. Nor does it matter if thou feast or fast, or what thy creed, or where thy lot is cast, in halls of pleasure or in crowded mart, in city streets or from all men apart. Thy path leads to the light, and peace and power shall be thy portion growing hour by hour. Follow no man, and by no man be led, and no man lead. The Leader to Be by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org by phone. What shall the leader be in that great day when we who sleep and dream that we are slaves shall wake and know that liberty is ours? Mark well that word, not yours, not mine, but ours. For through the mingling of the separate streams of individual protest and desire, in one united sea of purpose lies the course to freedom. When progression takes her undisputed right of way and sinks the old traditions and conventions where they may not rise, what shall the leader be? No mighty warrior skilled in crafts of war, sowing earth's fertile furrows with dead men, and staining crimson God's cerulean sea, to prove his prowess to a shuddering world. Nor yet a monarch with a silly crown, perched on an empty head, an inbred heir to senseless titles and anemic blood. No ruler purchased by the perjured votes of striving demagogues whose God is gold. Not one of these shall lead to liberty. The weakness of the world cries out for strength. The sorrow of the world cries out for hope. Its suffering cries for kindness. He who leads must then be strong and hopeful as the dawn that rises unafraid and full of joy above the blackness of the darkest night. He must be kind to every living thing, kind as the Krishna, Buddha, and the Christ, and full of love for all created life. Oh, not in war shall his great prowess lie, nor shall he find his pleasure in the chase. Too great for slaughter, friend of man and beast, touching the borders of the unseen realms, and bringing down to earth their mystic fires, to light our troubled pathways, wise and kind, and human to the core, so shall he be. The Greater Love by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org by phone. Hear thou my prayer, great God of opulence. Give me no blessings, save as recompense for blessings which I lovingly bestow on needy stranger or on suffering foe. If wealth by chance should on my path appear, let wisdom and benevolence stand near, and charity within my portal wait, to guard me from acquaintance intimate. Yet in this intricate great art of living, guide me away from misdirected giving, and show me how to spur the laggard soul to strive alone once more to gain the goal. Repay my worldly efforts to attain only as I develop heart and brain, nor brand me with the dollar sign above a bosom void of sympathy and love. If on the carrying winds my name be blown to any land or time beyond my own, let it not be as one who gained the day by crowding others from the chosen way, rather as one who missed the highest place, pausing to cheer spent runners in the race. To do, to have, is lesser than to be. Thank God for Life by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org by phone. Thank God for life in such an age as this, rich with the promises of better things. Thank God for being part of this great nation's heart, whose strong pulsations are not ruled by kings. Our thanks for fearless and protesting speech, when cloven hoofs show 'neath the robes of state. For us no servile song of kings can do no wrong. Not royal birth, but worth makes rulers great. Thank God for peace within our border lands, and for the love of peace within each soul. Who thinks on peace has wrought mosaic squares of thought in the foundation of our future goal. Our thanks for love and knowledge of love's laws. Love is a greater power than vested might. Love is the central source of all enduring force. Love is the law that sets the whole world right. Our thanks for that increasing torch of light the tireless hand of science holds abroad, and may its growing blaze shine on all hidden ways. Time Enough by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org by phone. I know it is early morning, and hope is calling aloud, and your heart is afire with youth's desire to hurry along with the crowd. But linger a bit by the roadside, and lend a hand by the way. 'Tis a curious fact that a generous act brings leisure and luck to a day. I know it is only the noontime, there is chance enough to be kind, but the hours run fast when noon has passed, and the shadows are close behind. So think while the light is shining, and act ere the set of the sun, for the sorriest woe that a soul can know is to think what it might have done. I know it is almost evening, but the twilight hour is long. If you listen and heed each cry of need, you can right full many a wrong. For when we have finished the journey, we will all look back and say, on life's long mile there was nothing New Year's Day by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org by phone. When with clanging and with ringing comes the year's initial day, I can feel the rhythmic swinging of the world upon its way. And though right still wears a fetter, and though justice still is blind, time's beyond is always better than the paths he leaves behind. In our eons of existence, as we circle through the night, we annihilate the distance twixt the darkness and the light. From beginnings crude and lowly, round and round our souls have trod, through the circles, winding slowly up to knowledge and to God. With each century departed, some old evil found a tomb, some old truth was newly started, in propitious soil to bloom. With each epoch some condition that has handicapped the race, worn out creed or superstition, unto knowledge yields its place. Though in folly and in blindness and in sorrow still we grope, yet in man's increasing kindness lies the world's stupendous hope. For our darkest hour of errors is as radiant as the dawn, set beside the awful terrors of the ages that have gone. And above the sad world sobbing and the strife of clan with clan, I can hear the mighty throbbing of the heart of God in man. And a voice chants through the chiming of the bells and seems to say, we are climbing. Life is a Privilege by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org by phone. Life is a privilege. Its youthful days shine with the radiance of continuous Mays. To live, to breathe, to wonder and desire, to feed with dreams the heart's perpetual fire, to thrill with virtuous passions and to glow with great ambitions, in 1 hour to know the depths and heights of feeling. God, in truth, how beautiful is youth! Life is a privilege. Like some rare rose, the mysteries of the human mind unclose. What marvels lie in earth and air and sea! What stores of knowledge wait our opening key! What sunny roads of happiness lead out beyond the realms of indolence and doubt! And what large pleasures smile upon and bless the busy avenues of usefulness! Life is a privilege. Though noontide fades and shadows fall along the winding glades, though joy blooms wither in the autumn air, yet the sweet scent of sympathy is there. Pale sorrow leads us closer to our kind, and in the serious hours of life we find depths in the soul of men which lend new worth and majesty to this brief span of earth. Life is a privilege. If some sad fate sends us alone to seek the exit gate, if men forsake us as the shadows fall, still does the supreme privilege of all come in that reaching upward of the soul to find the welcoming presence at the goal, and in the knowledge that our feet have trod paths that In an Old Art Gallery by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org by phone. Before the statue of a giant Hun, There stood a dwarf, misshapen and uncouth. His lifted eyes seemed asking, "Why, in sooth, was I not fashioned like this mighty one? Would God show favour to an older son, like earthly kings, and beggar without ruth another who sinned only by his youth? Why should two lives in such divergence run?" Strange as he gazed, that from a vanished past no memories revived of war and strife, of misused prowess and of broken law. That old Hun's spirit, in the dwarf recast, lived out the sequence of an earthly life. True Brotherhood by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org by phone. God, what a world, if men in street and mart felt that same kinship of the human heart, which makes them, in the face of flame and flood, The Decadent by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org by phone. Among the virile host he passed along, conspicuous for an undetermined grace of sexless beauty. In his form and face God's mighty purpose somehow had gone wrong. Then on his loom he wove a careful song of sensuous threads, a wordy web of lace, wherein the primal passions of the race and his own sins made wonder for the throng. A little pen-prick opened up a vein, and gave the finished mesh a crimson blot, the last consummate touch of studied art. But those who knew strong passion and keen pain looked through and through the pattern and found not. Lord, Speak Again by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org by phone. When God had formed the universe, he thought of all the marvels therein to be wrought, and to his aid then motherhood was brought. My lesser self, the feminine of me, she will go forth throughout all time, quoth he, and make my world what I would have it be. For I am weary, having laboured so, and for a cycle of repose would go into that silence which but God may know. Therefore I leave the rounding of my plan to motherhood, and that which I began, let woman finish in perfecting man. She is the soil, the human mother earth. She is the sun that calls the seed to earth. She is the gardener who knows its worth. From me all seed of any kind must spring, divine the growth such seed and soil will bring, for all is me and I am everything. Thus having spoken to himself aloud, his glorious face upon his breast he bowed, and sought repose behind a wall of cloud. Come forth, O God, though great thy thought and good, in shaping woman for true motherhood. Lord, speak again, she has not understood. The centuries pass, the cycles roll along, the earth is peopled with a mighty throng, yet men are fighting, and the world goes wrong. Lord, speak again, ere yet it be too late, Unloved, unwanted souls come through earth's gate. The unborn child is given a dower of hate. Thy world progresses in all ways save one, in motherhood for which it was begun. Lord, Lord, behold how little has been done. Children are spawned like fishes in the sand, with ignorance and crime they fill the land. Lord, speak again till mothers understand. It is not all of motherhood to know conception, pleasure, or deliverance woe. Who plants the seed should help the shoot to grow. Better a barren soil than wheat and tare, or sickly plants that die for want of care in poisonous jungles, void of sun and air. True motherhood is not alone to breed the human race, it is to know and heed its holiest purpose and its highest need. Lord, speak again, so woman shall be stirred with the full meaning of that mighty word, true motherhood. My Heaven by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org by phone. Unhoused in deserts of accepted thought, and lost in jungles of confusing creeds, my soul strayed, homeless, finding its own needs, unsatisfied with what tradition taught. The pros and cons, the little ifs and ands, the but and maybe, and the this and that, on which the churches thicken and grow fat, I found but structures built on shifting sands. And all their heavens were strange and far away, and all their hells were made of human hate. And since for death I did not care to wait, a heaven I fashioned for myself one day. Of happy thoughts I built it stone by stone, with joy of life I draped each spacious room, with love's great light I drove away all gloom, and in the centre I made God a throne. And this dear heaven I set within my heart, and carried it about with me alway, and then the changing dogmas of the day seemed alien to my thoughts and held no part. Now, as I take my heaven from place to place, I find new rooms by love's revealing light, and death will give me but a larger sight to see my Life by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org by phone. On a bleak, bald hill with a dull world under, the dreary world of the commonplace, I have stood when the whole world seemed a blunder of dotard time in an aimless race. With worry about me and want before me, yet deep in my soul was a rapture spring that made me cry to the great sky o'er me, "Oh, I know this life is a goodly thing." I have given sweet years to a thankless duty, while cold and starving, though clothed and fed, for a young heart's hunger for joy and beauty is harder to bear than the need of bread. I have watched the wane of a sodden season, which let hope wither and made care thrive, and through it all without earthly reason I have thrilled with the glory of being alive. And now I stand by the great sea's splendor, where love and beauty feed heart and eye, The brilliant light of the sun grows tender as it slants to the shore of the by and by. I prize each hour as a golden treasure, a pearl time drops from a broken string, and all my ways are the ways of pleasure, and I know this life is a goodly thing. And I know too that not in the seeing or having or doing the things we would lies that deep rapture that comes from being at one with the purpose which made all good. And not from pleasure the heart may borrow that rare contentment for which we strive, unless through trouble and want and sorrow it has thrilled. God's Kin by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org by phone. There is no summit you may not attain, no purpose which you may not yet achieve, if you will wait serenely and believe each seeming loss is but a step toward gain. Between the mountain tops lie vale and plain. Let nothing make you question, doubt, or grieve. Give only good, and good alone receive. And as you welcome joy, so welcome pain. That which you most desire awaits your word. Throw wide the door, and bid it enter in. Speak, and the strong vibrations shall be stirred. Speak, and above earth's loud, unmeaning din, your silent declarations shall be heard. All things Conquest by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org by phone. Talk not of strength until your heart has known and fought with weakness through long hours alone. Talk not of virtue till your conquering soul has met temptation and gained full control. Boast not of garments all unscorched by sin, till you have passed unscathed through fires within. Oh, pour that pride the unscarred soldier shows, who, safe in camp, The Statue by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org by phone. A granite rock in the mountainside gazed on the world and was satisfied. It watched the centuries come and go. It welcomed the sunlight, yet loved the snow. It grieved when the forest was forced to fall, yet joyed when steeples rose, white and tall, in the valley below it, and thrilled to hear the voice of the great town roaring near. When the mountain stream from its idle play was caught by the mill wheel and borne away, and trained to labour, the grey rock mused, trees and verdure and stream are used by man the master, but I remain friend of the mountain, and star and plain, unchanged for ever by God's decree, while passing centuries bow to me. Then, all unwarned, with a mighty shock, out of the mountain was wrenched the rock. Bruised and battered and broken in heart, it was carried away to the common mart, wrecked and ruined in peace and pride, Oh, God is cruel, the granite cried. Comrade of mountains, of stars the friend, by all deserted, how sad my end! A dreaming sculptor in passing by gazed at the granite with thoughtful eye. Then, stirred with a purpose supremely grand, he bade his dream in the rock expand. And lo, from the broken and shapeless mass that grieved and doubted, it came to pass that a glorious statue of priceless worth and infinite beauty Sirius by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org by phone. Since Sirius crossed the Milky Way, 60,000 years have gone. Garrett P. Service. Since Sirius crossed the Milky Way, full 60,000 years have gone. Yet hour by hour and day by day, this tireless star speeds on and on. Methinks he must be moved to mirth by that droll tale of Genesis, which says creation had its birth for such a puny world as this. To hear how one who fashioned all those solar systems, tears on tears, expressed in little Adam's fall the purpose of a million spheres. And witness of the endless plan, to splendid wrath he must be wrought, by pygmy creeds presumptuous man sends forth as God's primeval thought. Perchance from 100 stars he hears as many curious things, from Venus, Jupiter, and Mars, and Saturn with the beauteous rings. There may be students of the cause who send their revelations out, and formulate their codes of laws, with heavens for faith and hells for doubt. On planets old, ere form or place was lent to earth, may dwell, who knows, a godlike and perfected race that hails great Sirius as he goes. In zones that circle moon and sun, 'twixt world and world, he may see souls whose span of earthly life is done, still journeying up to higher goals. And on dead planets grey and cold, grim spectral souls, that harboured hate, life after life, he may behold, descending to a darker fate. And on his grand majestic course, he may have caught one glorious sight of that vast shining central source, from which proceeds all life, all light. Since Sirius crossed the Milky Way, full 60,000 years have gone. No mortal man may bid him stay, no mortal man may speed him on. No mortal mind may comprehend what is beyond, what was before. To God be glory without end. At Fontainebleau by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org by phone. At Fontainebleau I saw a little bed, fashioned of polished wood, with gold ornate. Ambition, hope, and sorrow, aye, and hate, once battled there, above a childish head. And there in vain grief wept, and memory pled, it was so small. But ah, dear God, how great the part it played in one sad woman's fate! how wide the gloom that narrow object shed! The symbol of an overreaching aim, the emblem of a devastated joy, it spoke of glory and a blasted home, of fleeting honors and disordered fame, and the lone passing of a fragile boy. It was The Masquerade by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org by phone. Look in the eyes of trouble with a smile. Extend your hand and do not be afraid. 'Tis but a friend who comes to masquerade, and test your faith and courage for a while. Fly, and he follows fast with threat and jeer. Shrink, and he deals hard blow on stinging blow. But bid him welcome as a friend, and lo! Sympathy by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org by phone. Is the way hard and thorny, O my brother? Do tempests beat and adverse wild winds blow? And are you spent and broken at each nightfall, yet with each morn you rise and onward go? Brother, I know, I too have journeyed so. Is your heart mad with longing, O my sister? Are all great passions in your breast aglow? Does the white wonder of your own soul blind you, and are you torn with rapture and with woe? Sister, I know, I too have suffered so. Is the road filled with snare and quicksand, pilgrim? Do pitfalls lie where roses seem to grow? And have you sometimes stumbled in the darkness, and are you bruised and scarred by many a blow? Pilgrim, I know, I too have stumbled so. Do you send out rebellious cry and question, as mocking hours pass silently and slow? Does your insistent "Wherefore?" bring no answer, while stars wax pale with watching and droop low? I too have questioned so, but now I know, to toil, to strive, to err, to cry, to grow, to love through all. Intermediary by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org by phone. When from the prison of its body free, my soul shall soar before it goes to thee, thou great Creator, give it power to know the language of all sad, dumb things below, and let me dwell a season still on earth before I rise to some diviner birth, invisible to men, yet seen and heard, and understood by sorrowing beast and bird. Invisible to men, yet always near, to whisper counsel in the human ear, and with a spell to stay the hunter's hand, and stir his heart to know and understand. To plant within the dull or thoughtless mind the great religious impulse to be kind. Before I prune my spirit wings and rise to seek my loved ones in their paradise, yea, even before I hasten on to see that lost child's face, so like a dream to me, I would be given this intermediate rôle, and carry comfort to each poor dumb soul, and bridge man's gulf of cruelty and sin by understanding of his lower kin. 'Twixt weary drivers and the straining steed, on wings of mercy would my spirit speed, and each should know before his journey's end that in the other dwelt a loving friend. From zoo and jungle, and from cage and stall, I would translate each inarticulate call, each pleading look, each frenzied act and cry, and tell the story to each passer-by, and of a spirit's privilege possessed, pursue indifference to its couch of rest, and whisper in its ear until in all it woke and knew God's all-embracing law of universal life, the one in all. Lord, Life's Car by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org by phone. Hurry up! No lingering by old doors of doubt, no loitering by the way, no waiting a tomorrow car when you can board today. Success is somewhere down the track before the chance is gone. Accelerate your laggard pace, swing on, I say, swing on. Hurry up! Step lively. Belated souls are following fast, they shout and signal, wait. Conductor Time brooks no delay, he rings the bell of fate. But you can give the man behind, with one hand on the bar, a final chance to brook defeat, and board the moving car. Step lively. Move up. Make way for others as you sit or stand, this crowded earth as room for every journeying soul en route to higher birth. Aye, room and comfort, if no one took double share or space, nor let his greed and selfishness absorb another's place. Move up. Hold fast. The jolting switch of obstacles with jarring rails is near. Stand firm of foot, be strong of grip, brace well and have no fear. The maker of the car of life foresaw that curve, despair, and hung the straps of faith and hope so you might grasp them there. Opportunity by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org by phone. Send forth your heart's desire, and work and wait. The opportunities of life are brought to our own doors, not by capricious fate. The Age of Motored Things by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org by phone. The wonderful age of the world I sing, the age of battery, coil and spring, of steam and storage and motored thing. Though faith may slumber and art seem dead, and all that is spoken has once been said, and all that is written were best unread. Though hearts are iron, and thoughts are steel, and all that has value is mercantile, yet marvellous truths shall the age reveal. Aye, greater the marvels this age shall find than all the centuries left behind, when faith was a bigot and art was blind. Oh, sorry the search of the world for gods, through faith that slaughters and art that lauds, while reason sits on its throne and nods. But out of the leisure that men will know, when the cruel things of the sad earth go, a faith that is knowledge shall rise and grow. In the throb and whir of each new machine, thinner is growing the veil between the visible earth and the worlds unseen. The true religion shall leisure bring, and art shall awaken, and love shall sing. New Year by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org. By phone as mortal, and
The New Year, read by Larry Wilson.
the night is cold, the hour is late, the world is bleak and drear. Who is it knocking at my door?
I am good cheer.
Your voice is strange, I know you not. In shadows dark I grope. What seek you here?
Friend, let me in. My name is Hope.
And mine is Failure. You but mock the life you seek to bless. Pass on.
Nay, open wide the door. I am Success.
But I am ill and spent with pain. Too late has come your wealth. I cannot use it.
Listen, friend, I am Good Health.
Now wide I fling my door. Come in and your fair statements prove.
But you must open
Disarmament by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org by phone. We have outgrown the helmet and cuirass, the spear, the arrow, and the javelin. These crude inventions of a cruder age, when men killed men to show their love of God, and he who slaughtered most was greatest king. We have outgrown the need of war. Should men unite in this one thought, all war would end. Disarm the world, and let all nations meet, like men, not monsters, when disputes arise. When crossed opinions tangle into snarls, let courts untie them, and not armies cut. When state discussions breed dissensions, let union and arbitration supersede the hell-created implements of war. Disarm the world, and bid destructive thought slip like a serpent from the mortal mind down through the marshes of oblivion. Soon a race of gods. The Call by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org by phone. All wantonly in hours of joy I made a song of pain. Soon grief drew near and paused to hear, and sang the sad refrain, again and yet again. Then recklessly in my despair I sang of hope one day, and joy turned back upon life's track and smiled and came my way. A Little Song by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org by phone. Oh, a great world, a fair world, a true world I find it. A sun that never forgets to rise, on the darkest night a star in the skies, and a God of love behind it. Oh, a good life, a sweet life, a large life, I take it, is what he offers to you and me, a chance to do and a chance to be whatever we chose to make it. Oh, a far way, a highway, a sure way he leads us, and if the journey at times seems long, we must trudge ahead with a trustful song, and a dialogue by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org by phone as mortal.
And Nemo as spirit.
The world is full of selfishness and greed. Lord, I would lave its sin.
Yea, mortal, earth of thy good help has need. Go cleanse thyself within.
Mine ear is hurt by harsh and evil speech. I would reform men's ways.
There is but one convincing way to teach. Speak thou but words of praise.
On every hand is wretchedness and grief, despondency and fear. Lord, I would give my fellow men relief.
Be then all hope, all cheer.
Lord, I look outward and grow sick at heart. Such need of change I see.
Mortal, look in. Do thy allotted part.
The Weed by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org by phone. A weed is but an unloved flower. Go dig and prune and guide and wait until it learns its high estate and glorifies some bower. A weed is but an unloved flower. All sin is virtue unevolved. Release the angel from the clod. Go love thy brother up to God. Behold each problem solved. Strength by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org by phone. Who is the strong? Not he who puts to test his sinews with the strong and proves the best, but he who dwells where weaklings congregate and never lets his splendid strength abate. Who is the good? Not he who walks each day with moral men along the high, clean way, but he who jostles gilded sin and shame, yet will not sell his honor or his name. Who is the wise? Not he who from the start with wisdom's followers has taken part, but he who looks in folly's tempting eyes and turns away perceiving her disguise. Who is serene? Not he who flees his kind, some mountain fastness or some cave to find, but he who in the city's noisiest scene keeps calm. Affirm by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org by phone. Body and mind and spirit all combine to make the creature human and divine. Of this great Trinity no part deny. Affirm, affirm, the great eternal I. Affirm the body, beautiful and whole, the earth expression of immortal soul. Affirm the mind, the messenger of the hour, to speed between thee and the source of power. Affirm the spirit, the eternal I, of this The Chosen by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org by phone. They stood before the angel at the gate. The angel asked, "Why should you enter in?" One said, "On earth my place was high and great." And one, "I warned my fellow men from sin." Another, "I was teacher of the faith. I scorned my life and lived in love with death." And one stood silent. "Speak," the angel said. "What earthly deed has sent you here today?" "Alas, I did but follow where they led," he answered sadly. "I had lost my way. So new the country, and so strange my flight, I only sought for guidance and for light." "You have no passport?" "None," the answer came. "I loved the earth, though lowly was my lot. I strove to keep my record free from blame, and make a heaven about my humble spot. A narrow life, I see it now too late. So, angel, drive me from the heavenly gate." The angel swung the portal wide and free, and took the sorrowing stranger by the hand. "Nay, you alone," he said, "shall come with me, of all this waiting and insistent band. Of what God gave, you built your paradise. The Nameless by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org by phone. Unnumbered gods may unremembered die. 1,000 creeds may perish and pass by. Yet do I lift mine eyes to One on high. Unnamed be He from whom creation came. There is no word whereby to speak His name, but petty men have mouthed it into shame. I lift mine eyes, and with a river's force my love's full tide goes sweeping on its course to that supreme and all-embracing source. Then back through all those thirsting channels roll the mighty billows of the over-soul, and I am He, the portion and the whole. As little streams before the flood tide flee, as rivers vanish to become the sea, the I exists. The Word by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. read for LibriVox.org/phone. Oh, a word is a gem, or a stone, or a song, or a flame, or a two-edged sword, or a rose in bloom, or a sweet perfume, or a drop of gall is a word. You may choose your word like a connoisseur, and polish it up with art, but the word that sways and stirs and stays is the word that comes from the heart. You may work on your word 1,000 weeks, but it will not glow like one that all unsought leaps forth white-hot when the fountains of feeling run. You may hammer away on the anvil of thought and fashion your word with care, but unless you are stirred to the depths that word shall die on the empty air. For the word that comes from the brain alone to the brain will speed, but the word that sways and stirs and stays, oh. Assistance by Ella Wheeler Wilcox, read for LibriVox.org/phone. Lean on no mortal, love and serve, for service is love's complement. But it was never God's intent your spirit from its path should swerve to gain another's point of view. As well might Jupiter or Mars go seeking help from other stars, instead of sweeping on as you. Look to the great eternal cause, and not to any man for light. Look in, and learn the wrong and right from your own soul's unwritten laws. And when you question or demur, Credulity by Ella Wheeler Wilcox, read for LibriVox.org/phone. If fallacies come knocking at my door, I'd rather feed and shelter full a score than hide behind the black portcullis, doubt, and run the risk of barring one truth out. And if pretension for a time deceive, and prove me one too ready to believe, far less my shame than if by stubborn act I brand as lie some great colossal fact. On my soul's door the latch-string hangs outside. Within the lighted candle, let me guide some errant follies on their wandering way, rather than Consciousness by Ella Wheeler Wilcox, read for LibriVox.org/phone. God, what a glory is this consciousness of life on life that comes to those who seek! Nor would I, if I might, to others speak the fullness of that knowledge. It can bless only the eager souls that willing press along the mountain passes to the peak. Not to the dull, the doubting, or the weak will truth explain or mystery confess. Not to the curious or impatient soul that in the start demands the end be shown, and at each step stops waiting for a sign. But to the tireless toiler toward the goal shall the great miracles of God be known, and The Structure by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org by phone. Upon the wreckage of thy yesterday, design the structure of tomorrow. Lay strong cornerstones of purpose, and prepare great blocks of wisdom, cut from past despair. Shape mighty pillars of resolve to set deep in the tear-wet mortar of regret. Work on with patience. Though thy toil be slow, yet day by day the edifice shall grow. Believe in God, in thine own self believe. Our Souls by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org by phone. Our souls should be vessels receiving the waters of love for relieving the sorrows of men. For here lies the pleasure of living, in taking God's bound The Law by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org by phone. When the great universe was wrought to might and majesty from naught, the all-creative force was thought. That force is thine. Though desolate the way may seem, command thy fate. Send forth Knowledge by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org by phone. Would you believe in presences unseen, in life beyond this earthly life? Be still, be stiller yet, and listen. Set the screen of silence at the portal of your will. Relax and let the world go by unheard, and seal your lips with some all-sacred word. Breathe God in any tongue, it means the same. Love absolute. Think, feel, absorb the thought. Shut out all else until a subtle flame, a spark from God's creative center caught, shall permeate your being and shall glow, increasing in its splendor, till you know. Not in a moment or an hour or day the knowledge comes. The power is far too great to win in any desultory way. No soul is worthy till it learns to wait. Day after day be patient. Then, O soul, month after month, Give by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org by phone. Give, and thou shalt receive. Give thoughts of cheer, of courage and success to friend and stranger. And from 1,000 sources, far and near, strength will be sent thee in thy hour of danger. Give words of comfort, of defense and hope to mortals crushed by sorrow and by error. And though thy feet through shadowy paths may grope, thou shalt not walk in loneliness or terror. Give of thy gold, though small thy portion be. Gold rusts and shrivels in the hand that keeps it. It grows in one that opens wide and free. Who sows his harvest is the one who reaps it. Give of thy love, nor wait to know the worth of what thou lovest, and ask no returning. And wheresoe'er thy pathway leads on earth, there Perfection by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org by phone. The leaf that ripens only in the sun is dull and shriveled ere its race is run. The leaf that makes a carnival of death must tremble first before the north wind's breath. The life that neither grief nor burden knows is dwarfed in sympathy before its close. The life that grows majestic with the years Fear by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org by phone. Fear is the twin of faith's sworn foe, distrust. If one breaks in your heart, the other must. Fear is the open enemy of good. It means the God in man misunderstood. Who walks with fear adown life's road will meet his boon companions, failure and defeat. But look the bully boldly in the eyes, with mien undaunted. The Way by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org by phone. Between the finite and the infinite, the missing link of love has left a void. Supply the link, and earth with heaven will join in one continued chain of endless life. Hell is wherever love is not, and heaven is love's location. No dogmatic creed, no austere faith based on ignoble fear can lead thee into realms of joy and peace. Unless the humblest creatures on the earth are bettered by thy loving sympathy, think not to find a paradise beyond. There is no sudden entrance into heaven. Slow is the ascent. Understood by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org by phone. I value more than I despise my tendency to sin, because it helps me sympathize with all my tempted kin. He who has nothing in his soul that links him to the sod, knows not that joy of self-control which lifts him up to God. And I am glad my heart can say, when others trip and fall, although I safely pass His Mansion by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org by phone. There was a thought he hid from all men's eyes, and by his prudent life and deeds of worth he left a goodly record upon earth as one both pure and wise. But when he reached a dark unsightly door, beyond the grave there stood his secret thought. It was the mansion he had built and Effect by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org by phone. An unkind tale was whispered in his ear. He paused to hear. His thoughts were food that helped a falsehood thrive and keep alive. Years dawned and died. One day by venom's tongue his name was stung. He cried aloud, nor dreamed the lie was spawn of thought long gone. Each mental wave we send out from the mind, or base or kind, completes its circuit, then Three Things by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org by phone. Know this, ye restless denizens of earth. Know this, ye seekers after joy and mirth. Three things there are, eternal in their worth. Love, that outreaches to the humblest things. Work that is glad in what it does and brings. And faith that soars upon unwearied wings. Divine the powers that on this trio wait, supreme their conquest over time and fate. Love, work, and faith. Obstacles by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org by phone. The slothful man saith, there is a lion in the way, a lion is in the street. Proverbs 26:13. There are no lions in the street, no lions in the way. Go seek the goal, thou slothful soul. Awake, awake, I say. Thou dost but dream of obstacles in God's great lexicon. That word ill-starred no page has marred. Press on, I say, press on. Nothing can keep thee from thine own but thine own slothful mind. To one who knocks each door unlocks, and Prayer by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org by phone. Lean on thyself until thy strength is tried. Then ask God's help, it will not be denied. Use thine own sight to see the way to go. When darkness falls, ask God the path to show. Think for thyself and reason out thy plan. God has his work and thou hast thine, O man. Exert thy will and use it for control. God gave thee jurisdiction of thy soul. All thine immortal powers bring into play. Think, act, strive. Climbing by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org by phone. Who climbs the mountain does not always climb. The winding road slants downward many a time. Yet each descent is higher than the last. Has thy path fallen, that will soon be past. Beyond the curve the way leads up and on. Think not thy goal forever lost or gone. Keep moving forward. If thine aim is right, thou canst not miss the shining mountain height. who would attain to summits still and fair, must know. There is no death, there are no dead. By Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org by phone. Suggested by the book of Mr. Ed C. Randall. There is no death, there are no dead. From zone to zone, from sphere to sphere, the souls of all who pass from here by hosts of living thoughts are led. And dark or bright, those souls must tread the paths they fashioned year on year. For hells are built of hate or fear, and heavens of love our lives have shed. Across unatlased worlds of space, and through God's mighty universe, with thoughts that bless or thoughts that curse, each journeys to his rightful place. Oh, greater truth no man has said, there is no death, there are no dead. It lifts the mourner from the sod, and bids him cast away the reed of some uncomforting poor creed, and walk with knowledge for a rod. It bids the doubter seek the broad vast fields where living facts will feed all those whose patience proves their need of these immortal truths of God. It brings before the eyes of faith those realms of radiance, tier on tier, where our beloved dead appear, more beautiful because of death. It speaks to grief, be comforted. Realisation by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org by phone. Hers was a lonely, shadowed lot, or so the unperceiving thought, who looked no deeper than her face, devoid of chiselled lines of grace, no farther than her humble grate, and wondered how she bore her fate. Yet she was neither lone nor sad, so much of love her spirit had, she found an ever-flowing spring of happiness in everything. So near to her was nature's heart, it seemed a very living part of her own self, and bud and blade, and heat and cold, and sun and shade, and dawn and sunset, spring and fall, held raptures for her, one and all. The year's 4 changing seasons brought to her own door what thousands sought in wandering ways and did not find, diversion and content of mind. She loved the tasks that filled each day, such menial duties, but her way of looking at them lent a grace to things the world deemed commonplace. Obscure and without place or name, she gloried in another's fame. Poor, plain, and humble in her dress, she thrilled when beauty and success and wealth passed by on pleasure bent. They made earth seem so opulent. Yet none of quicker sympathy when need or sorrow came than she. And so she lived, and so she died. She woke as from a dream. How wide and wonderful the avenue that stretched to her astonished view, and up the green ascending lawn a palace caught the rays of dawn. Then suddenly the silence stirred with one clear keynote of a bird. 1,000 answered, till ere long the air was quivering bits of song. She rose and wandered forth in awe, amazed and moved by all she saw. For, like so many souls who go away from earth, she did not know the cord was severed. Down the street, with eager arms stretched forth to greet, came one she loved and mourned in youth. Her mother followed, then the truth broke on her, golden wave on wave of knowledge infinite. The grave, the body, and the earthly sphere were gone. Immortal life was here. They led her through the palace halls. From gleaming mirrors on the walls she saw herself, with radiant mien, and robed in splendor like a queen, while glory round about her shone. All this, love murmured, is your own. And when she gazed with wondering eye, and questioned whence and where and why, love answered thus: all heaven is made by thoughts on earth. Your walls were laid, year after year, of purest gold. The beauty of your mind behold in this fair palace. Aye, and more waits farther on, so vast your store. I was not worthy when I died to take my place here at your side. I toiled through long and weary years from lower planes to these high spheres, and through the love you sent from earth I have attained a second birth. Oft when my erring soul would tire, I felt the strength of your desire. I heard you breathe my name in prayer, and courage conquered weak despair. Ah, earth needs heaven, but heaven indeed of earth has just as great a need. Across the terrace with a bound there sped a lambkin and a hound, dumb comrades of the old earth land, and fondled her caressing hand. You loved them into paradise, was answered to her questioning eyes. You taught them love. Love has no end, nor does love's life on form depend. If there be mortal without love, he wakes to no new life above. If love in humbler things exists, it must through other realms persist, until all love rays merge in him. Hark, hear the heavenly cherubim. Then hushed and awed, with joy so vast, it knew no future and no past, she stood amidst the radiant throng that came to swell love's welcoming song. This humble soul from earth's far coast, the centre of the heavenly host. On earth they see her grave and say, she lies there till the judgment day. Nor dream, so limited their thought, what miracles by love are wrought. End of poem. This recording is in